In the previous chapter, Osman transformed a small frontier community around Surgut into an independent principality. His warriors captured fortresses, attracted settlers, and defeated a Byzantine imperial army at Baphius. But the Ottoman state was still far from secure. The great Byzantine cities of Bithynia remained standing. Nicaea, Nicomedia, and Prusa were protected by walls, garrisons, and centuries of imperial prestige. If Osman wanted his new state to survive, those cities had to be isolated and eventually conquered. What followed was not a sudden invasion. It was a slow campaign of encirclement, migration, diplomacy, and patient pressure. During the final years of Osman's life and the early reign of his son Orhan, the Ottomans would transform from a frontier beylik into one of Anatolia's most dangerous regional powers. A state growing through migration, the victories at Baphius and Dimbos changed the scale of Ottoman expansion. Within a few decades, Osman's domain had grown from a small cluster of settlements into a principality controlling numerous towns, fortresses, roads, and agricultural districts. Success attracted people. Turkmen families left central Anatolia and moved into Ottoman territory. Some came to escape political instability. Others sought land, military service, commercial opportunity, or protection. This migration strengthened Osman's state in several ways. New farming communities produced food and taxes. Craftsmen supported the growing towns. Merchants expanded local markets. Warriors increased the size of the Ottoman army. The collapse of the Sultanate of Rum accelerated this movement. As the old Seljuk political order disintegrated, Anatolia fractured into competing beyliks. Central authority disappeared, and many communities looked toward successful local rulers for security. Osman's victories made his frontier one of the most attractive destinations. Byzantium searches for help for the Byzantine Emperor Andronikos II. The situation in Anatolia was becoming desperate. The defeat at Baphius had exposed the weakness of the empire's frontier defenses. Turkish beyliks were advancing through western Anatolia, while isolated Byzantine cities received little support from Constantinople. The emperor first attempted to find help from the Mongol Ilkhanate. He hoped that the Mongols might reassert their power over Anatolia and restrain the Turkish principalities. But the Ilkhanate faced problems of its own. Military defeats, internal rivalry, and growing decentralization limited its ability to intervene. When Mongol assistance failed to materialize, Andronikos turned to foreign mercenaries. His choice would create an even greater disaster. The Catalan Company in 1303, the Great Catalan Company arrived in Constantinople. It was a powerful mercenary force, commanded by Roger de Flor. Its soldiers had gained experience in the wars of the Western Mediterranean and were feared for their discipline and violence. The emperor welcomed them as potential saviors. Roger de Flor received the prestigious Byzantine title of Megasdu and was promised marriage into the imperial family. The Catalans were sent to Anatolia to fight the advancing Turkish forces. At first, they achieved some battlefield success, but they did not behave like loyal defenders of the empire. The mercenaries plundered the countryside, seized supplies, and abused local populations regardless of religion. Christian villages suffered alongside Muslim communities. Instead of restoring confidence in Byzantine rule, the Catalans alienated many of the people they had supposedly come to protect. The emperor had hired them to save Anatolia. Instead, they deepened its devastation. The murder of Roger de Flor, the relationship between the Byzantine government and the Catalans deteriorated rapidly. Roger de Flor had become powerful, independent, and difficult to control. In 1305, he was murdered during a banquet. The killing triggered a violent Catalan revenge campaign. For years, the company ravaged Thrace and fought Byzantine forces. The empire had transformed its own mercenaries into enemies. The consequences were severe. Troops and money that might have been used in Anatolia were redirected toward civil war and defense in the Balkans. While Byzantium struggled against the Catalans, Osman resumed his advance. The encirclement of Prusa and Nicaea, the Catalan presence, had temporarily disrupted Ottoman pressure in Bithynia. But once the mercenaries turned against Constantinople, Osman's forces returned. Ottoman control expanded around Harmankaya, Jave, Mudanya, Yalova, Akiazi, and other strategic locations. The aim was not simply to collect plunder. Osman was cutting the major Byzantine cities away from one another. Prusa and Nicaea still stood behind strong walls, but their roads, villages, and agricultural districts increasingly fell under Ottoman influence. A city could survive an attack on its walls. It could not easily survive the loss of its food supply and surrounding countryside. Across western Anatolia, the Byzantine collapse continued. Other Turkish beyliks captured major cities such as Ephesus, Smyrna, and Magnesia. Only a few isolated centers remained under imperial authority. Byzantium was losing Anatolia, not in one dramatic defeat, but through the steady disappearance of its local power. A new Byzantine civil war, the decline of Byzantine authority, was made worse by political conflict. In 1321, a civil war erupted between Emperor Andronikos II and his grandson, Andronikos III. The younger Andronikos challenged his grandfather's rule and gathered support among military leaders and aristocrats. The empire split between competing courts. While the Palaiologos family fought over the throne, the Anatolian frontier received even less attention. Osman, now an elderly ruler, recognized the opportunity. He prepared for the conquest he had pursued for years, the capture of Prusa. The siege of Prusa was one of the most important cities in Bithynia. Its walls made a direct assault difficult. Osman lacked the siege machinery and resources required to storm the city. He therefore chose a strategy of containment. Ottoman forces constructed fortified positions around Prusa. These forts watched the roads, restricted supplies, and prevented communication with neighboring Byzantine territories. Osman's son, Orhan, took command of the blockade. A large Ottoman force remained in the region, while the city slowly became isolated. There was no immediate final battle. The Ottomans waited. The inhabitants of Prusa looked toward Constantinople for relief, but the Byzantine government was consumed by civil war. No major rescue army arrived. By 1326, the city's position had become hopeless. The surrender of Prusa on April 6, 1326, Prusa surrendered to Orhan. It was the first major walled city captured by the Ottoman state. The conquest dramatically increased Ottoman wealth, population, and political importance. Prusa was not merely another fortress. It was a major urban center with markets, workshops, farmland, religious institutions, and trade connections. Its capture gave the Ottomans the resources needed to govern on a much larger scale. The city soon became known as Bursa and was made the new Ottoman capital. But Osman probably did not live to witness the final surrender. According to Ottoman tradition, he died shortly before the conquest was completed. His body was later buried in Bursa, fulfilling his wish to rest inside the city he had spent years trying to capture. The legacy of Osman, later Ottoman chronicles, portrayed Osman as an ideal ruler. They described him as courageous, generous, religious, and just. Rather than accumulating personal luxury, he was said to have spent his wealth on his warriors and subjects. At his death, tradition claims that he left behind little personal property. Whether every detail is accurate or not, the image mattered greatly to later Ottoman rulers. Osman became the moral founder of the dynasty. Future sultans sought to present themselves as defenders of justice and protectors of their subjects, following his example. The ceremonial sword of Osman became an important symbol of legitimacy during Ottoman enthronements. By carrying it, each new ruler claimed continuity with the dynasty's humble frontier founder. The succession of Orhan Osman left at least two important sons, Orhan and Aledin. Later Ottoman tradition describes a peaceful agreement between them. Orhan, the more experienced military commander, became the new bey. Aledin took responsibility for administration and internal government. The exact details remain uncertain, but the arrangement represented an important development. The Ottoman state was becoming too large to be governed solely from the battlefield. One leader could direct military campaigns, while trusted officials managed taxation, justice, markets, and daily administration. This division of responsibility strengthened the state. While Orhan continued the conquest of Bithynia, Aledin helped organize the government from Bursa. The road to Nicaea after the capture of Bursa, Orhan moved against the remaining Byzantine strongholds. His forces advanced toward Idos and other settlements, tightening Ottoman control around the eastern sea of Marmara. Nicaea remained one of the most important targets. By 1328, the city was again under blockade. Orhan and his son Suleiman directed the siege. That same year, the Byzantine civil war ended. Andronikos III defeated his grandfather and became the sole effective emperor. The new ruler inherited an empire weakened by years of internal conflict, but he was determined to restore Byzantine authority in Anatolia. His first major campaign would be an attempt to relieve Nicaea and defeat Orhan. The Byzantine relief campaign, Andronikos III, gathered an army with the assistance of his close advisor, John Cantacuzenios. The imperial plan was straightforward. The Byzantine forces would cross the Bosporus into Anatolia. They would march toward Nicomedia, gather supplies and reinforcements, and then move south to break the Ottoman blockade of Nicaea. If successful, the campaign might begin a larger reconquest of Bithynia. Orhan learned of the operation before the Byzantine army could reach Nicomedia. He withdrew a large part of his force from Nicaea and moved to intercept the emperor. In June 1329, the Byzantine army crossed into Asia. After several days of marching along the Gulf of Nicomedia, it encountered Orhan's forces near Pelekanon. The Battle of Pelekanon, Orhan held a strong position on elevated ground. His army outnumbered the Byzantines and included many mounted archers. Andronikos III nevertheless deployed his troops for battle. Ottoman horsemen moved down the slopes and began harassing the Byzantine formation with arrows. The imperial soldiers maintained discipline and advanced uphill. They managed to resist several Ottoman attacks. For much of the day, the Byzantines held their ground. But as darkness approached, the emperor decided to withdraw toward the camp and prepare an orderly retreat. During the movement, Ottoman cavalry reached the Byzantine rear. The imperial bodyguard came under attack, and Andronikos III was wounded. A rumor spread through the ranks that the emperor had been killed. The Byzantine formation broke apart. As soldiers fled, Ottoman cavalry pursued them through the night and into the following morning. The imperial relief campaign had failed. The importance of Pelekanon was the first recorded battle in which the rulers of the Ottoman and Byzantine states personally confronted one another. Its consequences were greater than the battlefield losses alone. The Byzantine emperor had failed to reach Nicomedia. Nicaea received no relief. The empire no longer possessed the military strength needed to reconquer inland Bithynia. After the battle, Andronikos III increasingly accepted a policy of containment. The empire would attempt to protect the territories it still held rather than recover those already lost. For the Romans, this marked the end of more than 1,000 years of meaningful military control over much of Anatolia. For Orhan, it opened the road to the remaining cities. The fall of Nicaea and Nicomedia surrendered to Orhan in 1331. Its capture carried enormous symbolic importance. The city had hosted major Christian councils and had once served as the capital of the Byzantine government in exile. Now it belonged to the Ottomans. Nicomedia fell in 1337. With its conquest, Ottoman control extended across most of Bithynia. Only a few Byzantine settlements remained near the Bosporus and the Sea of Marmara. The Ottomans now possessed fertile lands, major cities, ports, roads, and access to maritime routes. They were no longer a minor frontier beylik. They had become a major regional power. Building an Ottoman government military expansion required political reform. From Bursa, the Ottoman leadership introduced institutions that strengthened the ruler's authority. Silver coins were minted in Orhan's name, presenting him as an independent sovereign. Court clothing and official symbols helped distinguish government and military servants. A more permanent body of salaried infantry and cavalry began to appear. These troops included the Yaya infantry and Musallam cavalry. At the same time, many warriors continued to receive land revenues through arrangements that would later develop into the Timur system. The Ottomans were combining frontier military traditions with a more organized state structure. They could now maintain soldiers, collect taxes, govern cities, and issue currency. The foundations of an enduring government were taking shape, a state ready to cross the sea by the end of the 1330. The Ottoman position had changed completely. Osman had begun with a small frontier community around Surgut. Orhan now ruled Bursa, Nicaea, Nicomedia, and most of Bithynia. The Byzantine Empire had lost nearly all of its major Anatolian territories in the region. The Ottomans controlled the southeastern coast of the Sea of Marmara. Across the water lay Thrace and the Balkans. Yet the Ottomans did not immediately launch a full invasion of Europe. Their opportunity would come through Byzantine civil war. Once again, the empire's internal divisions would open the door to Ottoman expansion. This time, the consequences would reach far beyond Anatolia.